the single worst game of Chelsea's season. Poor defending, soft in every challenge, no character, no personality, and a lack of mental preparation. And before you think I'm going in on the players here, they ain't even my words. They're Pochettino's. Right, people, what's happening? And welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. Now, if you are new around here, please do me a massive favour. At the end of the video, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more from myself. Also, I've been asking you lot to do it. Please smash the like button. It helps pump my videos out and helps me to continue bringing you this sort of content. Let's get into it. Okay, so Pochettino was understandably fuming after yesterday's shocking performance against Newcastle at St James's Park, and he pretty much wore his heart on his sleeve in the press conference and in his post-match interviews, where, to put it lightly, he pretty much ripped into the players. Now, we're going to delve into his comments because I do think that it somewhat divides opinions. I've seen some people saying that he sort of threw the players under the bus. Not sure I agree with it, but first, let me read you out one of the quotes from his press conference. He said, "This is the worst game of our season so far. We were soft in every single challenge. We did not compete. We did not show that we were playing for something important, and that is what makes me angry and disappointed. We need to learn from these games. What makes me very he's quadruple very there. Very angry because we have to show more personality and character." And as I said before, he's also cancelled the couple of days off training that the players had. So let's discuss it. Is it over the top? I definitely don't think that cancelling the couple of days off training that the players have. I mean, look, obviously they've been on international duty and that's fair enough, but I do think that you've got to have some sort of standards at the club. I mean, I was fairly vocal about the Marcus Rashford thing when Manchester City turned over Man United in the Manchester derby, and then we saw Marcus Rashford out partying in a nightclub celebrating his birthday. Fair enough, it's his birthday, but I was quite vocal on that when asked on the kickoff about it, because I just said, in modern day football, you've got to have some sort of standards that you say, no, I'm not celebrating, I'm not having some downtime, I'm just focusing on putting it right in the next opportunity. And I do think, although we've got till Sunday for that opportunity, the boys need to be straight back at Cobham training and learning from their mistakes, because Pochettino's right to be completely disgusted by a lack of energy in that game. Now, I made the point, didn't I, on yesterday's video, that obviously we've got two central midfielders that are travelling back and forth on international duty to South America. However, I think it was somewhat taken out of context by some of you lot. I was just mentioning it. I wasn't using it as an excuse as to why we lost the game at all, in the slightest. I understood when mentioning that obviously Newcastle were in the exact same situation with Bruno Guimaraes and Joelinton. Like, I was not saying that was why we lost the game. We lost the game because we turned up against the better team. And Newcastle, in fact, turned up probably isn't the word. Newcastle were the ones that turned up. They are the better team. They're the more cohesive unit. They're a team rather than a collection of individuals. And they did really well, and they beat us fair and square. So I've got no complaints about that. But the lack of intensity and the lack of energy we showed, can't be underplayed, because at the end of the day, look at the energy and intensity that Newcastle showed, and many of their players would have been out on international duty. We saw the bust up between Trippier and some of the Newcastle fans after they lost 2-0 against Bournemouth, and from a fan's aspect, I completely understand it. You go and watch your team, you do, I think, the longest trip in the Premier League from Newcastle to Bournemouth, and the team lose, and they lose against opposition that you would have favoured them to win against. And then, you're angry about it. But you see what Trippier said to the fans there. He said in that situation, did the boys not try? Now, I watched that match, right? And Newcastle did try in that match. They did put a shift in. They were just beaten on the day. So I can completely sympathise with Kieran Trippier in his sort of comments towards the fan and in the altercation, because I would think, okay, look, you can't win every game in football, but what you can do is leave it all on the pitch. And I did think that with their injury crisis and whatnot, they left it all on the pitch. Leaving it all on the pitch is something that Chelsea did not do in the slightest yesterday, okay? Because, look, I would still be annoyed if we lost the game, but I do think you can lose a game with your heads held high. I don't agree with all the praise that Spurs were getting after we beat them 4-1, but you can't deny that they were getting a lot of praise, and that's because they left it all on the pitch and they did try to win the game. And with Chelsea yesterday, we just really did not see that. And I think another reason why Poch will be massively disappointed in yesterday's result is because he's seen it on the training pitch. He's seen what a class, really, really talented collective of players we've got. But it's about putting things into practice on the pitch, and we haven't been able to do that so far this season. Even when we did get good results against the likes of Liverpool and against the likes of Arsenal, we then went and lost the next game after putting in good performances and having spirited draws with both teams. However, Then, when we went and got the result against Spurs, and then held Manchester City at Stamford Bridge in a match that, if the refereeing decisions might have been different, we might have won that game. There was the platform and the springboard to really, really push on. And I get that, okay, we haven't just gone and lost to Luton, we haven't just gone and lost to Burnley. We've lost to Newcastle, who finished higher than us last season and will finish higher than us this season. And, have already beat the likes of Arsenal at home. But we needed to use the performance as a springboard to put in another performance. So I can completely understand why Poch is looking at that and thinking, where is the consistency? You were able to give me those sort of performances against those sort of clubs, and then all of a sudden we make the trip to what we know is going to be one of the fiercest and most hostile atmospheres in the Premier League. A great crowd at St James's Park, which is what they've always got. And we just show a lack of bottle. And another reason why I sympathise with Pochettino and why I sympathise with myself as a fan being gutted about yesterday is you've got to remember the opportunity that we have missed there. I understand that West Ham went on to win yesterday, okay? Comeback win against Burnley, brilliant. But we could have potentially gone up to 8th in the table with a win yesterday if other results had have gone our way. We could have been going into the Man United match, albeit, still to play Brighton next Sunday, but we could, if we got a result there, been going into that Man United game knowing that we could go above Man United in the table. A win yesterday would have put us right in the mix. It would have really, really put us in a position where, if things go right for us and, we really capitalise on the form we're showing in glimpses, we could push on and challenge for Champions League spots and definitely Europa League spots. And now we're looking a million miles off of that position, to be honest. I mean, the table will change after today, possibly by the time you're watching this video, but at the minute, we're sat in 10th. We're level on points with Brentford. We're only 1 point above Wolves and 1 point above Crystal Palace, and we could really, with another bad result or two, be dropping in to the bottom 5 spots in the table. Now, if we had a 1 yesterday, we could have been, as I say, knocking on the door for Europa League football. We could have been 1 point off of Newcastle as well, and we could have been right in the mix. And I get that things can swing, but one thing I've been naive of doing at the past is looking at the table and looking at the margins of points and thinking, all we need is them to lose 2 games and us to win 2. It doesn't really happen like that. There's so much quality and so much class in that top half of the table that you're really looking for miracles to come if you're trying to make up a 6-point gap or something like that. I get that you can look at the leaders, Manchester City, making up massive gaps in the past and overtaking Liverpool when challenging for the title, but in this sort of area of the table, it doesn't really happen all that often. So I think now we do have to reassess where we're going to finish at the end of this season. And the last thing I'll speak about with Pochettino's comments is I heard a lot of people on social media sort of saying that Pochettino was harsh on the players. We've got a young squad and obviously we're going to show this naivety, and to an extent I'd agree. But listen, there's the old saying in football, isn't there, that if you're good enough, you're old enough. But I do think that when you say about being good enough, you've got to think of the player's mental personality as well. Jude Bellingham was captain in Borussia Dortmund for multiple games at the age of 19 years old, Cesc Fabregas, he was captain in Arsenal in the Premier League at 21 years old. Francesco Totti, captain in Roma at 21 years old. When Gerrard was Reece James's age, he was captain in Liverpool and driving them forward. So maybe being good enough with your footballing ability, as all of our players in our team undeniably are, isn't good enough. Maybe you need to be good enough up here with your mentality and your intensity when you're approaching these games. No matter what your age is, you need to be a resilient leader if you want to play in a team that are going to push for Champions League football in the most competitive league in the world. Now, speaking of leaders, Reece James is coming under a lot of stick yesterday. Couldn't be worse timing on my behalf after calling him the best right back in the world. But look, let's discuss that, because that red card, I've spoke about our disciplinary issues and they're bad, but that red card, did Reece James deserve a red card? Yeah, he probably did. Do I think that both yellows were soft? Let's delve into that. The first yellow was definitely soft. If anyone's seen it, he kicks the ball away, right? Should you, by the letter of the law, kick the ball away? once the whistle was blown. No, you're not supposed to do it. It's a bookable offence. Do we see players getting away with that week in, week out, more often than not getting away with it? Yes, we definitely do. So can Reece James feel a little bit hard done by? Well, if you're going on the letter of the law, no, you can't feel hard done by. If you're going on the form of the referees, you can feel hard done by, because 9 out of 10 times you don't get a booking for that. Anthony Gordon, the strength he touches Anthony Gordon with, right? If I touched my remote to try and change the channel on my TV, the button wouldn't push down. That is how light it was, right? And Anthony Gordon goes over. By the letter of the law, are you allowed to touch him in any way at all when he's through on goal like that? No. So is Anthony Gordon within his right to go down? Yeah, he is. So I would say that both are bookable offences, and therefore it is a red card. Is it probably one of the softest red cards for 2 yellows I've seen? Yeah, probably is. But that's breaking it down individually, and I'm not going to have any complaints about the red card. Reece has just come back from injury. We've had to be without him for a long time on the touchline, on the sidelines, I should say, and now we're without him again. So, but it wasn't just Reece. Let's be honest, right? We showed a massive lack of intensity, as Pochettino said. We pressed nowhere near as much from the front. And you know what? Although we were complaining to the referee with Cucurella picking up a booking, I didn't see anyone complaining to their fellow teammates and actually organising the players. So I think you can understand Poch's disappointment here, because the way he sets up the teams and the instructions he gives aren't bad, We've now got somewhat of a settled team. We're chopping and changing with the defence ever so slightly, but we have got a settled team for the most part. And I look at the way Pochettino set up the team and the instructions he gave against the likes of Arsenal and against the likes of Manchester City, definitely. And I think that was a pivotal part in why we saw those performances. So Pochettino's probably sitting there and thinking, well, I've set you up in the right way. I've given you the tools you need to perform. You've done it before with this exact same format of team, and now you can't do it today. But the elephant in the room here is Mauricio Pochettino being a hypocrite? Because Pochettino watched this game from the stands. Why did he watch it from the stands? Well, contrary to common misconception, it isn't just for the outburst to Anthony Taylor in the Manchester City match. That was a yellow card, not a red card that got him sent off and got him a touchline ban. But managers in the modern game now, if you get 3 of these yellow cards, it's weird, isn't it? A manager can get a booking. If you get 3 of them, you then get put to the stands for 1 game. So Mauricio Pochettino has picked up 3 yellow cards from the touchline. And what that tells me is it's not one isolated incident where you've completely lost your head. And, we love passion in the game. The top managers often do show this. But it's not one isolated incident. It's 3. And when you've got a team that very, very clearly have a disciplinary issue, you've got to lead by example. You really do have to. So I think Mauricio Pochettino is at fault there. Do I think the game could have gone different if Mauricio Pochettino was on the touchline where he should be, in the dugout? Yeah, I do. I do think it could have gone different. I think that when we went to 1-1, that was a time where you need a manager down there driving the boys on, giving them instructions and pushing them on. And we didn't have that, At half-time, we went in, I should say, from the first half, and I thought we can only get better. We can't be any worse. We did. We came out and we were a lot worse. So Mauricio Pochettino has got to take some blame there. I like passion. I don't want a manager that shows 0 personality, 0 character, and therefore I can't connect with. I love the passion, and I love Pochettino, I really do appreciate him as a manager. But it's borderline hypocrisy there, because you were sat in the stands when you should be on the touchline. So is Mauricio Pochettino now under pressure as Chelsea manager? Well, I can only speak for my own expectations as a Chelsea fan, and I'm saying no, he's not under pressure. Of course, every manager is under pressure to deliver performances and to get wins and to put us up the table, but at the end of the day, is his job under pressure? No. There's no one out there that I truly believe could come into this Chelsea side and do a better job than Pochettino. And I'm on about a long-term better job. Are there managers, say a Jose Mourinho, for example, anyone on the market like that, are there managers that could have accumulated more points than us at this point? Yeah, I do believe there are. But for a long-term project, which is what we are led to believe Todd Bowley wants, despite the sacking of Graham Potter, who just wasn't the right man, for a long-term project, is there anyone that I think can get better out of these players and do a better job than Mauricio Pochettino at this moment in time? No, I don't. You've got to remember the pull power of these clubs. Chelsea haven't got that at the minute. And we've got to be realistic in that. Yes, we've spent a lot of money, but also we're facing a possible point deduction. If some people are to be believed, possible relegation from the Premier League. We have no European football. That's not no Champions League football, no European football. The prospect is we might not be getting European football. So yes, we've got the name and we've got the recent history that our club has got, but we haven't got the pull power to go and get Pep Guardiola at a Manchester City or something like that. So we're shopping in a market of managers that are just below that elite level. And I'm not saying Poch is that, but I'm saying for where we are at the minute, Poch is the perfect man for the job. We are building something. We can see bite-sized samples of just how well we can play, but we need to get consistency with that and put that into motion going forward, where we can be consistently putting in these performances. And when things do go well for us, they go really well. You look at the way we played against Arsenal. You look at the way we played against Manchester City. We can compete with the big boys in these one-off matches. So I would rather be able to see those small bite-sized examples and go, right, I tell you what, if we can get that going week in, week out, we can be a serious threat in this league, rather than last season where we just didn't see that at all. We didn't see it at all. So is it what I was hoping for? No. Have my expectations changed midway through the season or a third of the way through the season? Yes. But am I seeing enough to still have faith that Pochettino's the man to do this job? Yeah, I definitely am. So we're going to be all right. Poch is the man for the job. I don't want to ramble on too much this morning. I just wanted to get this out to you guys and react to Pochettino's outburst, if you want to call it that. It weren't that bad. Poch is all right. But I think the best thing to do is for me and my friend Josh Aveste to get in the studio this week, and we'll break everything down. We'll address our areas of concern. I want you guys to get in the comments and let me know what you want us to speak about in this week's studio session, because we'll record 2 videos. We'll obviously do our preview for the Brighton game, but we'll do another video where we maybe how to fix Chelsea, or in the short term. Anyway, we could do that about every other weekend this season. So, yeah, the good news is the games are coming thick and fast now. We've got no international break for about 3-4 months or something like that. And we can bounce back with a performance against Brighton at Stamford Bridge next Sunday. So, yeah, by the time this goes out, I'll be heading up to Brian's for the kickoff. So make sure you're tuned in to the kickoff today. We're obviously live for the Everton against Man United match, but I'll be giving more reaction to this game. Please, if you've made it to the end of the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Hit the like button. Get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. I really want to hear from you. I'll try and get back to as many of you as I possibly can. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. I'll see you in the next one.